Welcome to the Sleepy Christian, and tonight we will be talking about trusting God's plan. As you settle in for the night, tucked beneath warm blankets, soft pillows beneath your head, let your mind begin to rest. Where in the world are you watching from? Whether you're in a quiet city apartment, a little house in the countryside, or somewhere in between, know that this moment is just for you. Let go of your worries now. Let the peace of God begin to settle over your heart as we begin our soothing devotional together. What if the stillness you're feeling right now isn't emptiness at all, but an invitation? An invitation to breathe deeper, to let go, to rest not just physically, but spiritually, emotionally, soulfully. You've carried a lot today. Maybe you've been wrestling with questions that feel too heavy to hold. Maybe you've smiled through moments of doubt or pushed yourself through a day that felt longer than usual. And now, as the night settles in, it's time to step into something softer, something safer. It's time to surrender. Stillness is often misunderstood. We think it means nothing is happening, that we're stuck, that we're waiting for life to start again. But what if this moment, this quiet, this calm, this breathe, not a pause in your story, but the place where God is speaking most clearly? The world rushes and shouts. It pulls you in every direction. But God, He whispers. He comes in the quiet, like a gentle breeze moving through the trees in the cool of the evening. And when we finally slow down enough to listen, we realize He's been there all along, watching, holding, guiding. Trusting God's plan doesn't begin when we feel brave. It begins when we feel tired, when we admit we're not in control, when we let go of our timeline, our strategy, our desperate need to predict or manage the outcome. Trust is choosing rest over striving. It's choosing to believe that God's hands are strong enough to hold what we can't. Think about that for a moment. The weight you've been carrying, He already knows, He already sees, and He's already working. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. You don't have to make sense of everything before your eyes close. You just have to let yourself be held. Imagine your heart as a lake. Earlier today, the surface may have been stirred windy with thoughts, busy with concerns, but now, slowly, gently, the water is calming, the ripples are quieting, and in that still reflection, God's peace begins to appear. Can you feel it? That gentle release, that soft, sacred hush that begins to settle over you when you give yourself permission to stop striving, to stop thinking, to just be. This isn't about doing more. It's about releasing. It's about loosening your grip and saying, God, even when I don't see it, even when I don't understand it, I choose to trust you. That trust doesn't come from knowing the details of the plan. It comes from knowing the one who made the plan, the one who sees the beginning and the end, and still walks beside you every step of the way. Tonight, let go of needing to know. Let go of the worry that says you're behind or not enough. Let go of the fear that if you stop trying, everything will fall apart. That's not true. It never was. God's plan does not depend on your performance. It depends on His promise, and His promises are sure, steady, and eternal. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Feel the softness of your bed beneath you. Let each breath you take be a small act of surrender. Inhale peace. Exhale pressure. Let this stillness be holy. Let it be the doorway to deeper trust. God isn't asking you to have all the answers. He's asking you to let Him be the answer. Right here, right now, in the quiet, in the stillness, in the surrender. And as your body begins to relax, as your thoughts begin to slow, remind yourself gently, this is not the end of the road. This is just a pause, a resting place on the journey. And the one who holds the map is holding you too, always, even here, even now. Sometimes, the most important things God does in our lives are the things we don't even notice. They happen quietly, behind the scenes, deep in the soil of our hearts. We look around and don't see much changing. We pray and wonder if our words even made it past the ceiling. We keep going, keep hoping, but the breakthrough we long for feels far away, almost invisible. But the truth is, God often does His greatest work in the hidden places, not with flashes of light or loud declarations, but in the slow, steady unfolding of His love, His timing, His plan. Think about how a seed grows. When it's first planted, it disappears. It gets buried beneath layers of earth where no one can see it. Day after day, it lies hidden in darkness. And yet, something sacred is happening, something alive. Beneath the surface, roots begin to take hold. Foundations are formed. Strength is built where no eye can see. The seed is not dead, it's preparing. It's becoming. It's surrendering to a process it doesn't control. And in time, it will break through. But that time belongs to God. Maybe you feel buried right now. Maybe you're walking through a season that feels small, quiet, unnoticed. And yet this might be the season God is shaping you the most. When life slows down, when answers don't come quickly, when days feel ordinary and uneventful, those are often the days when God is cultivating deep roots of faith. When He's teaching you to depend on Him without the reassurance of immediate results. When He's whispering truths that only the quiet can reveal. It's easy to think that if we're not seeing progress, nothing is happening. But God is never idle, not for a moment. Just because He's quiet doesn't mean He's distant. His silence is not absence, it's intimacy. He's near in the shadows. He's working in ways we wouldn't understand, even if He explained them. And when the time is right, what He's been growing will begin to rise, slowly, beautifully, without force, because it's real, because it's been made strong in the hidden place. Let this truth settle over you tonight. You don't need to see results to be making progress. You don't need to have visible proof to know that God is moving. What you're walking through matter 7, the parts that feel mundane, even the prayers that feel unanswered, even the days that feel small. There is purpose in the hidden. There is beauty in becoming. Close your eyes now and let your soul breathe. Let the pressure to perform or prove yourself melt away. You are allowed to rest even while the work continues. You are allowed to trust that God sees the full picture, even when you see only a tiny corner. You are allowed to believe that this season, this night, this quiet moment is not empty. It is sacred. It is filled with the presence of a God who never stops weaving good things out of ordinary threads. So if your heart feels hidden tonight, if your progress feels invisible, take comfort. Seeds don't grow in the spotlight. They grow in silence, in darkness, in stillness. And what God is growing in you right now is not small. It is not insignificant. It is rooted in eternity. It is anchored in His promises. And one day, it will rise not rushed, not forced, but ready. As you drift closer to sleep, let these words hold you. God is not finished with you. The quiet season is not wasted. The hidden things are holy. Rest in the unseen work of His hands. Rest in the truth that your story is being written with purpose, even when the ink is invisible. And as you let go, as you surrender to the night, know this: He is still with you, still working, still good, always. The night can sometimes feel like the loneliest part of the day, when the world quiets down, when the busyness fades, and all that remains is your thoughts, your questions, your silent wondering. There's something about the dark that seems to magnify everything we've tucked away, every worry, every fear, every longing we couldn't find words for in the daylight. But right now, in this very moment, there is something comforting, something holy you need to remember. You are not alone, not for 1 second. While the world sleeps, your shepherd stays awake. Psalm 121 tells us, "He who watches over you will not slumber." Think about that. The same God who created the stars above you, who paints the sky in shades of dusk and dawn, who numbers the hairs on your head and knows every breath you take. He does not sleep. He doesn't grow tired. He doesn't look away. He doesn't miss a moment. While your eyes slowly close, while your body sinks deeper into rest, He is still holding everything together, watching over you like the most tender, attentive guardian. Not because He has to, but because He wants to, because you are precious to Him. Sometimes we feel like we need to stay alert, to stay strong, to stay in control. We lie in bed with our minds racing, as if our vigilance could protect us. But here's the beautiful truth. You don't have to keep watch tonight. You don't have to keep your grip tight on everything. You don't have to solve anything right now. God is already on the night shift. He's already covering what you care about. He's already surrounding you with His presence. And He's never too far, never too distracted, never too busy to notice you. Right here, right now. Can you let that truth sink into your soul? Can you let your shoulders relax a little, your thoughts slow down, your heart begin to breathe easier? You're not the protector of your own peace, God is. You're not the keeper of your future, God is. Even in sleep, even in dreams, even in stillness, He is actively holding your life with tenderness and care. The world may shut its eyes, but heaven stays open. The angels assigned to you do not doze. The spirit within you doesn't grow weary. You are watched over by a God whose love never blinks. If you've ever felt abandoned or overlooked, if you've ever believed even for a moment that you were walking through life unnoticed, let tonight be a gentle reminder. The God who formed galaxies also forms peace within your heart. He sees every tear, even the ones you never let fall. He hears every thought, even the ones you were too afraid to speak. He knows the fears you carry, the hopes you hardly admit, the ache you can't explain. And instead of turning away, He draws closer. Let the darkness become a sanctuary, not a threat. Let the quiet of the night become a holy space where your soul can rest in the arms of the one who never sleeps. You don't have to perform for Him. You don't have to impress Him. You don't have to be perfect before you can be held. You just have to let go. You just have to rest. Like a child crawling into a parent's arms, you're safe, fully, truly, eternally. So close your eyes without fear. There is no need to stay guarded. God's hand is over you. His Spirit is within you, and His promises are around you like a shield. While you dream, He is still working. While you rest, He is still orchestrating the days to come. While you sleep, He is speaking life over your future. You are not alone in the dark. You are surrounded by light, by love, by the constant, unshakable presence of your shepherd. Breathe deeply now. Let each breath be lighter than the one before. Let your spirit settle into the truth that you are safe, seen, and secure. There is nothing you need to do right now. Nothing you need to fix. Nothing you need to earn. Just rest. God is already watching, and He's not going anywhere. Not tonight. Not ever. Have you ever felt like you're walking forward with your eyes closed, unsure of what's ahead, unable to see more than the next small step in front of you? It can feel unsettling. We crave direction. We crave certainty. We want a map, a timeline, a list of what to expect. We want to see the destination clearly, to understand the why behind every delay, every detour, every difficult season. But God doesn't always give us a map because He's not asking us to rely on a plan. He's asking us to rely on Him. Think about the stories of Scripture, the way God has always worked with His people. Abraham left everything familiar without knowing where he was going, just trusting the voice that said, "Go." Moses stood before the Red Sea without knowing how it would part, only that God had brought him there. Ruth followed Naomi into the unknown, with no promise except loyalty and faith. Time and time again, God called people not into clarity, but into trust. Not into full understanding, but into full dependence. He hasn't changed. We often think we need to know more in order to feel peace, but what we really need is to know God more, because real peace doesn't come from seeing the road. It comes from walking hand in hand with the one who made it. You might not see 10 steps ahead, but if you can see Him, if you can hear His gentle whisper saying, "This is the way, walk in it," then that's enough. You're not walking alone. You're walking with purpose. Even if you can't define the outcome, you can still walk with confidence when your trust is rooted in the one who never changes. Let that settle into your heart. You don't need the full picture to move forward. You don't need all the answers to rest. You don't need a detailed plan to know that you're safe. The truth is, if God showed you every part of the journey, it might overwhelm you. There are things He hides not to confuse you, but to protect you, to grow you slowly, to build your faith step by step. It's not a lack of love, it's a sign of it, because He's teaching you to trust Him, not just the outcome. Imagine for a moment that your life is a winding path through a forest. It's dark in places. The trees are tall. You can't see the whole trail from where you are. But you have a lantern, just bright enough to light the next step. That lantern is God's presence. It doesn't show you everything, but it shows you enough. And with each step, the light moves forward. Step by step, trust grows, hope rises, peace deepens. You don't need to sprint. You don't need to figure out how the road ends. You just need to keep walking, knowing that the one who walks with you is faithful. And maybe that's what God wants for you tonight. Not clarity, but closeness. Not a plan, but peace. He's not asking you to chart your course. He's asking you to follow, to lean on Him, to believe that even when you can't see where you're going, He knows exactly where you are, and He's not going to let you get lost. You're not wandering. You're being led. You're not delayed. You're being prepared. Everything He allows is shaping you, refining you, equipping you for what comes next, even if you don't understand it yet. Let your breathing slow as you think about that. Let your body soften, your thoughts grow quieter. Picture yourself walking beside Jesus through that forest path. You don't need to speak. You don't need to ask questions. Just feel the steady presence of His hand in yours. Every time you feel afraid, He gently squeezes. Every time you hesitate, He reminds you with a whisper, "I'm still here." That's the promise. Not that the path will always make sense, but that He will never leave your side. So if tonight you feel unsure, if you're in a season where everything feels uncertain, don't try to control what's ahead. Don't try to force clarity where there is none. Just rest. Just trust. God sees the entire picture. He sees the places where the trail bends, the doors that will open, the moments of breakthrough waiting just around the corner, and His timing is perfect, always. You don't need to know how it all unfolds. You just need to take the next step, and then the one after that. And trust that with each breath, with each moment, with each day, God's hand will still be holding yours, and that's more than enough. There are nights when you lie in bed, and every hope you've ever whispered to God echoes back as silence. You remember the prayers you've prayed, some with tears streaming down your face, some with just a longing sigh in the darkness, some with desperate words you could barely form. And in those quiet hours, when nothing seems to change and you feel like your prayers have drifted away, unanswered, it's easy to wonder if God is really listening. It's easy to feel alone, overlooked, maybe even forgotten. But the truth is, God's silence is never rejection. His timing is not like ours, and sometimes His loving answer is to wait, to grow, to trust in the pause. Think about how a seed waits beneath the earth. It doesn't complain about the darkness or the cold. It just waits, surrounded by stillness, letting the invisible work of transformation take place. Sometimes your prayers are like that seed, planted in faith, hidden from sight, taking root in the deep places where only God can see. You might not see the answer, not yet, not in the way you imagined or the moment you expected, but under the surface, God is moving. Every prayer you pray is heard. Every hope you hand to Him is held. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is lost. Nothing is ignored. The God who counts every hair on your head, who keeps every tear in a bottle, is not missing a single word you speak to Him. It can be hard to understand why some prayers seem to go unanswered. Maybe you've asked for healing, and it hasn't come, or for a door to open, and it remains closed. Maybe you've begged for clarity, but only confusion remains, or pleaded for peace, but still wrestle with anxiety. In these moments, it's natural to question, to doubt, to wonder if you're doing something wrong. But God's love is not a reward for perfect prayers, and His answers are not always what we expect. Sometimes He says, "Wait not," because He doesn't care, but because He sees the story from beginning to end. Sometimes He says, "No," not to hurt you, but to protect you from something you can't see yet. And sometimes the answer is yes, but it arrives in a way that looks different from what you imagined. Let yourself breathe in this gentle truth. Silence is not abandonment. Delay is not denial. God's "not yet" is an invitation to deeper faith. He is not finished. He's still writing, still weaving, still shaping every detail with perfect love. Even when you don't see the evidence, He's working in the waiting, stretching your roots down deep, drawing your heart closer to His. In the quiet, He invites you to trust Him more, to let your hope grow not in what He gives, but in who He is. The story of your life is precious to Him, and every chapter especially, the ones that feel unresolved, they're part of His good plan. Let yourself rest in the knowledge that you don't need to understand it all tonight. You don't need to see the outcome. You can bring your honest questions, your disappointment, your longing, and place them in God's hands. He welcomes it all. You don't have to hide your ache or pretend you have it together. He is close to the brokenhearted. He draws near to those who call out in the night. When you have no words left, He listens to your silence. When all you can offer are tears, He treasures every one. So as you settle deeper into rest, picture those prayers you've prayed, every single one resting in the hands of a God who loves you more than you can imagine. Picture Him tending them, caring for them, nurturing them with patience and wisdom. He hasn't forgotten. He hasn't turned away. His love for you is steadfast, unchanging, always present, always enough. Even in the seasons of waiting, even in the places where answers haven't arrived, even in the darkness that feels endless, He is there, working, watching, loving. Tonight, allow yourself to let go of needing the answer right now. Let your heart find peace in the waiting, knowing that God is faithful. His timing is perfect. His wisdom is greater than anything you can see. And when the morning comes, you may find that He has done more than you asked, more than you dreamed, in ways you never expected. Until then, you are safe in His hands. Your prayers are safe in His hands, and you can rest, truly rest, knowing that He is holding it all. There is a gentle kind of rest that God offers, a rest deeper than sleep, softer than silence, and more powerful than any effort you could ever make. It's the kind of rest that comes when you finally put down all the things you've been carrying, expectations, anxieties, fears about tomorrow, and regrets from yesterday, and simply allow yourself to be still. Rest is not a sign of weakness, it's an act of trust. It's a quiet, holy declaration that you believe God is working even when you aren't. That He's strong enough to hold your story, to hold your dreams, to hold every little detail of your life without your help. That you can stop for a while and nothing will fall apart because He is holding it all together. Think about how God Himself, after creating the universe in all its vast wonder, chose to rest, not because He was tired, but because He wanted to show us the beauty of stillness. He wanted to show us that being is just as important as doing, that we are loved for who we are, not just for what we accomplish. In the world, rest is often seen as optional, luxury to be earned after the work is done, but in God's eyes, rest is a gift. It's an invitation to step away from striving, to lay down the burdens we were never meant to carry, and to trust that while we rest, He is working. He never sleeps. He never stops caring for us, watching over us, orchestrating everything for our good. Let that truth soften your heart tonight. You don't have to prove anything to God. You don't have to work harder to earn His love, or hustle to keep His attention. He is already delighted with you, right here, right now, as you simply rest in His presence. Every breath you take, every moment you let go, is an act of faith that says, God, I trust You to do what I cannot. Let your breathing slow. Feel the tension in your shoulders release. Let the worries of the day begin to fade into the background as you remember that your life is not held together by your effort, but by God's grace. Sometimes, the hardest thing is to allow yourself to rest, to stop rehearsing your mistakes, to stop planning for tomorrow, to stop carrying the weight of everyone's expectations. But God calls you to stillness not as an escape, but as a return to the peace you were created for, the peace that was always yours in His presence. In Psalm 23, we are reminded that God leads us beside quiet waters, that He restores our souls. He knows what you need, even before you ask. He knows when your heart needs rest more than answers, when your spirit needs stillness more than solutions. Tonight, imagine God's arms wrapping gently around you, pulling you close, whispering over you, "You can rest now. I've got you. I'm not letting go." Let those words be a lullaby for your soul. You are not alone in your need for rest. All of creation was made to move in rhythms of work and rest, of activity and stillness, of energy and renewal. There is a holy permission given to you, right here, right now, to lay your burdens down and let God carry what you cannot. Every time you choose to rest, you declare with your life that you believe in God's faithfulness. You declare that you trust Him more than your own ability to control, manage, and produce. You step into the rhythm of grace, where it's okay not to have all the answers, where it's okay to be unfinished, where it's okay just to be. Rest is where you are reminded that you are a beloved child, not an employee who must earn a place at the table. So let your heart settle, let your thoughts grow quiet, let your body relax into the mattress, the pillow, the gentle dark of your room. This is a sacred pause, a holy intermission in the story God is writing for your life. While you sleep, He is working. While you rest, He is renewing. While you let go, He is holding on. You are safe. You are cared for. You are deeply, completely, perfectly loved. As you drift closer to sleep, let yourself surrender to the gift of rest. Trust that God's hands are strong enough to keep you, gentle enough to comfort you, and wise enough to work all things for your good. There is nothing more you need to do tonight. There is nothing left for you to carry. Lay it all down. Let yourself rest, knowing that in your stillness, God is glorified, and in your quietness, His love surrounds you like a blanket, warm and sure. Sometimes life feels like a long, winding road through seasons you just can't explain. You might look around and wonder why nothing seems to move forward, why dreams seem to stall, why prayers feel as if they're floating in silence. There are chapters of your story that feel grey, ordinary, maybe even painful days when you wake up and can't see the purpose. Moments when you're tempted to compare your journey to someone else's, asking quietly, "Why am I here?" But even in those places, especially in those places, God is gently at work. He's not in a hurry. He isn't disappointed or impatient. He understands every moment you find yourself in, and He sees beyond what you can understand right now. Think about the way the seasons change in nature. There are months when trees seem lifeless, when the fields are barren and the cold winds whisper that nothing is growing. But beneath the surface, deep underground, roots are stretching, the earth is being renewed, and quiet transformation is taking place where no one can see. The same is true in your life. The season that feels empty or slow is never wasted. It is a time of preparation, of growth, of building strength for what's next. God never wastes anything, not even the quietest, most confusing days. There are times when you'll want to rush ahead, to skip over the waiting, to fast forward through the uncertainty. But these seasons of not knowing, of feeling stuck or hidden, are actually sacred. They are invitations to lean into God, to let Him teach you patience, resilience, and faithfulness. When you surrender to a season you don't understand, you declare with your life that you trust the author of your story more than you trust your own understanding of the plot. You are telling God, "I believe you are good, even when I don't see the good. I trust you're working, even when I can't see the work." Sometimes it's in the seasons you don't understand that God does His deepest, most beautiful work. He softens your heart, refines your desires, teaches you to listen more closely to His whisper. He prunes away things that don't belong, making room for new life to spring up. In John 15, Jesus says that every branch that bears fruit is pruned, so it will bear even more fruit. The cutting back, the quiet times, the pauses, they're not punishment. They're preparation for abundance, for new growth, for a future you can't imagine yet. Let yourself breathe in this truth. You are not forgotten in your winter. You are not overlooked in your waiting. God has not put you on pause or set you aside. He is crafting something in you that will flourish when the time is right. Every day, even the ones that seem slow and silent, are being gathered into something good. When the world doesn't understand your season, when friends and family can't see what God is doing, remember, He sees you. He sees the struggles you can't explain, the tears you cry in secret, the strength it takes to simply keep going. He honors your faithfulness, even when you don't feel strong. So if you find yourself in a season that doesn't make sense, one that seems endless or pointless or too difficult to bear, hold on to hope. Trust that God knows the way through, even when the path is hidden by fog. Trust that He is with you in the darkness as surely as in the light. Trust that the harvest will come, and when it does, you'll see how every quiet day, every hard night, every unspoken prayer was gathered up and woven into something beautiful. Let go of the pressure to figure it all out. Let go of the need to explain yourself, to justify your journey, to rush to the next chapter. Instead, allow your soul to be still. Invite God into your questions, your disappointments, your longing for answers. Whisper to Him, "I trust you," and let that be enough for now. The season you don't understand may be the very ground where faith is planted and hope is made real. As you settle in tonight, let these words bring you peace. You are exactly where you need to be for what God is doing in your life. Nothing is wasted, not a single moment, not a single tear. He holds it all, and when the season changes, when the flowers bloom and the sun returns you, we'll see how the waiting shaped you, how the quiet grew you, how God's love never left you, not even for a second. Rest in that. Rest in Him. There's a mysterious beauty to the quiet hours of the night, a softness that falls over your room as everything else fades into darkness. It's in these moments, when you feel the world is silent and you are alone with your thoughts, that God's promises become especially precious. One of those promises is this: you are never alone, not even for a heartbeat. God has sent His angels to watch over you, to guard you in all your ways, to surround you with a protection more real and steadfast than anything you could ever see with your eyes. Imagine for a moment that this room you're lying in, whether it's small or grand, simple or cluttered, is filled with the presence of God's angel, silent, gentle, attentive, and so close. You might not feel them, and you may never see them, but their presence is a reality as ancient as time. From the very first page of Scripture, God has used His angels to comfort, guide, and shield those He loves. When Hagar wept alone in the wilderness, it was an angel who found her, called her by name, and reminded her that she was seen by God. When Daniel was cast into the lion's den, it was an angel who shut the mouths of the lions and kept him safe through the night. When Elijah collapsed under a broom tree, exhausted and afraid, it was an angel who woke him gently, gave him food, and reminded him that he was not alone. Again and again, God's messengers have been sent not just to deliver messages, but to provide comfort, to defend, to hold back the darkness. Tonight, as you lie quietly, perhaps with worries lingering, or your heart still racing from the day, let this ancient truth fill you with comfort. God commands His angels concerning you. They are not here by accident or obligation, but by divine assignment. They know your name, they know your story. They know the fears you've spoken and the ones you've kept hidden, the hopes you've dared to pray, and the battles you fight in silence. Around you, above you, within the space you call home, they stand guard patient and strong, tireless in their watchfulness, tender in their care. Sometimes, we forget that our lives are wrapped up in a much bigger story than what we can see or touch. There is a spiritual world that is alive with God's activity, filled with angels moving at His command, working for your good, protecting you from things you'll never even know about. Every narrow escape, every moment of peace in the storm, every comfort that came at just the right time, it's all evidence of God's hands at work, often through the presence of His angels. Even as you sleep, while your defenses are down and your mind wanders into dreams, their watch is unbroken. They do not tire, they do not leave their post, and they are never late. You can rest, truly rest, knowing you are surrounded by a love that is fiercely protective and endlessly present. Let your mind imagine the gentle reality of God's angels now. You are not lying in an empty room. You are not at the mercy of darkness, or worry, or fear. There are sentinels at your door, unseen but so very real. They are a shield around you, a whisper of hope, a reminder that you are never beyond the reach of heaven. Their presence is not a sign of your weakness, but a testimony of God's care. He does not leave his children unguarded. He covers them, surrounds them, gives his angels charge over them, so that even as they sleep, they are kept safe. So, if you feel vulnerable tonight, if old fears try to creep in, remember that God's love for you is not passive, it is active, strong, and ever watchful. The angels around you are a promise kept, a sign that God is near. You can release your worries, lay down your burdens, and let your spirit settle into peace. There is no darkness his light cannot reach, no place his presence will not fill, no night so deep that his protection is not deeper still. Let your heart slow as you picture yourself wrapped in a heavenly embrace, the cares of the day gently lifted away. You are guarded, you are watched over, you are beloved, so precious to God that he has assigned the hosts of heaven to watch over you. The world may be silent, but heaven is not. In the unseen, angels are singing songs of comfort, standing by your side, bearing witness to God's faithfulness. Sleep knowing that you are safe, that you are never alone, that the spiritual world is alive and moving on your behalf. There is nothing that can separate you from God's love or his watchful care. Rest in the promise that the one who commands the angels is also the one who holds you gently in his hand. This is the peace you are invited to enjoy tonight, the peace of being surrounded, shielded, and cherished, always. It's easy to believe that God's plan is a grand design for the whole world, something far away, something for the important and the extraordinary, something that's unfolding on a stage so vast, it's hard to imagine that you have a part in it at all. But tonight, let your heart settle into this quiet truth. God's plan is personal, not just for nations and kings, but for you, for your life, your story, your dreams, your hopes and fears and longings, your ordinary days and hidden places. God's plan weaves through every detail of who you are, as intentional and loving as an artist painting each brushstroke on a canvas meant just for you. You are not a face in the crowd. You are not lost in the sea of humanity. You are seen, known, chosen, and cherished. God has never written a generic story. His love is not mass-produced. Every life he creates is an original, handcrafted work of art, and that means yours too. Every day you've lived has been noticed. Every laugh, every tear, every quiet act of kindness, every battle fought in secret, all matters to him. Before a single word leaves your mouth, he already knows it. Before you rise each morning, he has already walked the hours of your day. Every longing, every ache, every dream and disappointment is held close to his heart. He is not distant or detached. He is intimately involved, present in every moment, delighting in you as only a loving father could. Sometimes it's hard to believe that your life matters to God, especially in a world that can make you feel small or overlooked. Maybe you've felt invisible or unimportant, like what you do doesn't really count. But you are God's beloved. Scripture says he has numbered every hair on your head. He keeps your tears in a bottle. He celebrates your joys and mourns your losses with you. You are the one sheep he would leave the 99 to find. You are the child he welcomes with open arms, the friend he listens to with patience, the beloved he pursues again and again. Your story is not an accident or an afterthought. Every twist and turn, every victory and defeat, every question and moment of clarity, none of it is wasted. It's all woven together in a design only he can see, a tapestry that will one day make sense from the vantage point of eternity. When you walk through the ordinary routines of your life, the meals cooked, the commutes taken, the tasks completed, know that none of it is overlooked by God. He finds joy in your laughter, comfort in your prayers, delight in your smallest acts of faith. He meets you in the quiet moments, in the sighs too deep for words, in the hope that refuses to let go, in the places where no one else sees but him. The dreams you've tucked away, the prayers you've whispered, the hopes you've almost forgotten, he knows them all. He's been guiding you with a hand as gentle as it is strong. Even when you doubt, even when you wander, even when you can't see what He's doing, He is faithfully at work in the details. God's plan is personal because His love is personal. He writes your story not with cold calculation but with compassion and care, attentive to every chapter and every page. He redeems what is broken, restores what is lost, brings beauty out of pain. He knows how to use even your disappointments and detours for your good. When you face disappointment, when doors close or dreams seem to die, He's not finished. He's rewriting the script in ways you cannot yet see, always with your heart in mind. He weaves even the hardest moments into a pattern of hope, and what feels like an ending to you might only be a pause before something beautiful begins. You don't have to strive to be important to Him. You don't have to be perfect or impressive. You don't have to have it all together or know what's next. God is not waiting for you to become someone else. He loves you as you are, and His plan for you is tailored to your unique personality, your gifts, your quirks, your story. There is no one-size-fits-all path in His kingdom. There is only the one-of-a-kind journey. He invites you to walk with Him, hand in hand, heart to heart. When you can't see the way forward, trust that He's already been there. When you wonder if your life matters, trust that it matters more to Him than you can possibly imagine. Tonight, as you rest, let yourself feel the closeness of a God who is not far off. Invite Him into your dreams, your questions, your uncertainties. Trust that He is still writing, still working, still turning every page with love. Your name is written on His hands. Your story is written on His heart. You are not forgotten. You are not lost in the crowd. You are not just part of a plan. You are the beloved for whom the plan was made. You are the treasure worth seeking, the masterpiece worth finishing, the child worth loving to the end. Let this bring you comfort. Let it give you peace. God's plan is personal, and it is good, and you are held safely within it, always. As the night deepens and the world grows quieter, you are invited into a kind of quiet that is deeper than silence, a sacred pause where your soul can finally let go. All day long you have carried the noise of responsibility, the hum of thoughts, and the gentle weight of longing and hope. But now, in the gentle hush of night, you are called to slip beneath the surface of your worries and rest in the simple, holy presence of God. This is not a time for striving or trying to figure anything out. It's not a time to rehearse your doubts or questions or list out everything that went right or wrong today. Now is the moment just to be still, to let your spirit grow soft and quiet in the arms of the One who loves you more than you can imagine. Let the quiet settle around you like a comforting blanket. With every breath you take, feel the tension begin to drain from your body and your thoughts become lighter. There is nothing required of you here. No expectations, no demands. God is not waiting for you to impress Him. He isn't measuring your worth by your performance or your words. He is simply with you, closer than your breath, nearer than your own heartbeat. You don't have to speak. You don't have to pray the right prayers or find the perfect words. Your presence is enough for Him. He delights in you as you are, in the simplicity of this shared quiet. This quiet is a holy invitation. It's a place where the deepest parts of your heart are safe. Here, you don't have to hide your true self or pretend that you're stronger than you feel. Here, you are fully known, fully loved, fully accepted. God sees every layer of your soul, the joys, the aches, the regrets, the hope that flickers even when the world is dark. And He holds it all gently. Even the things you don't understand about yourself are understood by Him. Even the burdens you can't name are noticed and cared for. The quiet becomes a sanctuary, a place where you can rest without fear. Let the events of the day fall away now, like leaves drifting from a tree. There is no need to grasp or fix or solve. Everything can wait until morning. In this sacred stillness, let yourself become aware of God's peace, a peace that goes beyond understanding, a peace that fills the empty spaces, a peace that gently tells your heart, you are safe, you are loved, you are never alone. Feel your breath grow deeper and slower each inhale bringing a sense of calm, each exhale releasing the last of the day's cares. This is where trust becomes real. In the quiet, you are reminded that God is enough. Even if the future is uncertain, even if some prayers are still waiting for answers, even if the journey ahead is hidden, He is here. You don't have to do anything except let yourself rest. Let His presence fill you with the assurance that He is working while you sleep, loving you while you rest, dreaming over you while you dream. His presence doesn't fade in the darkness. It grows even more tender and close. Allow yourself to drift on this sea of quiet, knowing that there is nothing that can separate you from God's love. Not your doubts, not your fears, not your failures, not your questions. The quiet is not empty, it is filled with the love of the Creator, the comfort of the Shepherd, the strength of the Savior. You are not alone in the stillness. You are being held, watched over, cherished in ways that you will only fully understand one day. Let the gentle truth of God's goodness become the last thought you hold tonight. Let go now. Release everything that clings or weighs heavy. Imagine yourself sinking into the deep waters of God's peace, held and surrounded by perfect love. There is nothing left to do tonight except rest in His presence. There is nowhere else you need to be. You are home in the heart of God, safe and seen and secure. Let sleep come softly, as a gift, as a promise, as a blessing. And as you drift further into rest, know with all your heart, you are loved, you are held, and you are safe. God's plan for you is good, and He is with you now, through the night, and always.